Shabbat Shalom. The longest biblical season is here, and Pastor Plummer wants to prepare everyone, so I will be teaching for the next 7 weeks, starting today. In 10 minutes, though, you will be able to take those pictures, so be ready. We're going to start with definitions. What does Omer mean? It's the Hebrew number 6016 in the Strong's Concordance. It means a heap, a sheaf, an omer, as a dry measure. The first mention is found in Exodus 16:16, where the manna was a daily miracle of provision in the wilderness of 1 omer per person, which is about 2 dry quarts per day. And this miracle was so important that the Lord told them to put 1 omer in the Holy of Holies. I believe, among other things, that when we guard and keep this important, forgotten season, as we do here at Beit Tehila, that we are bringing that 40-year manna miracle to his remembrance, for him to provide for us, as he did in the wilderness, just enough manna, just enough of him for today. Now turn to the foundational scriptures that started my research back in 2005. Leviticus 23:15. We can go quickly. And we shall count unto ye from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Nothing in there says Omer. Nothing. And there's nothing in there about manna. Look again, though, at the Hebrew, H, number 6016, and the word sheaf is in verse 15 because it also means Omer. Omer and sheaf are the same root word. Could the word Omer then be put into that scripture instead of the word sheaf? Ready? And ye shall count unto ye from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the Omer of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Therefore, verse 15 is where we get the command to count the Omer. Even though the word is not translated in the English as Omer. Remember, everything is based on our English translations because we can't do the Hebrew. All right, verse 16 is the other foundational scripture. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord. Now, I assumed that count in verse 15 and number in verse 16 were the same word, because that's the way they were translated in so many English books. And in the Hebrew, they come from the same word. In Strong's, they are Hebrew 5608. They means to score with a mark, as a tally or a record, to count, to inscribe, to enumerate. Now you count with your fingers, but you record the page numbers, 1, 2. That's 2 witnesses. It's a 2-step process. And the Lord prefers 2 or 3 witnesses, right? When you count the days out loud, using your voice, it goes into the airwaves, and it never ends. Like a continuous flowing stream of remembrance to the Lord. When you number, tally, or inscribe, then you've made 2 witnesses. 2 witnesses that you counted. It's a record and it's proof. I have some suggestions, especially for the fathers, so that they can obey the command to teach their children that is found in Deuteronomy 11:19. It's very important, fathers, to emphasize the 7th day, the Sabbath, as you count, so that the concept of 7 sevenths is understood. The pattern of 7 days, 7 weeks, plus 1 equals 50. A simple way is to just mark off the days on the Beit Tehila calendar. Or you could collect things, but don't use any leaven for the first 7 days. You could also use a large envelope and put things in the large envelope. You could use a box. You can collect books and give them away, or if you had a reader in your family, collect food and donate it, or you could put money. There are all kinds of things you can do. You will then have 7 containers with 7 items in each, and at the 50th day, do what you decided with them. Step out of yourself, your life, and collect. Give this season to the Building Fund, to Benevolence, to Kids Place, to Life Care, to Helping Rock, someplace. The Word says that you are never to come to His feast empty-handed. In 50 days, we'll be honoring the 50th day of Shavuot. Now, I also recommend making a garden. Plant one plant every day, every week, so that you end up with 7 in a row, and on the 50th day, surround it. Make a barrier or a protective little fence around it. Or you can collect money, $1 for 6 days, and on the 7th day, do something bigger, like a $5 bill or $50, whatever. And at the end of it, it is to be given, but it is a way to count. You can also use paper clips for the children, 1 per day and a different color on the 7th day. To remember, I will set my alarm on my cell phone, and I have pictures of the blessing, so that if I forget it, I have it right there with me. Can you count and tally? Will you do 2 witnesses? Okay. Now what about Yeshua? Did he count? There's nothing in the Word that says he did, and there's nothing that says he did not. But because we know he was observant, we know that he also counted the Omer. Was anything special recorded during this season? Absolutely. We know that every word and every letter is purposeful in the Bible, and it records 3 very important events. The Lord was resurrected on the day after the Sabbath in Mark 6:9, on the first day of the week, which is also known as First Fruits and Omer Day 1. He arose 40 days later in Acts 1:9. Imagine him walking here, walking. 10 days later was the 50th day of Shavuot, and 3,000 people were mikvahd, and the promise found in Joel 2:28 came to pass. 3 important things. So are you ready to count and number this year? When do we start the count? I found that there were several different dates for starting the count, and learned that there has been confusion even when he was alive and walking on this earth. It has been argued and argued and argued. It is not a divisive point. If so, he would have stopped it right then. So I grabbed a calendar and I started counting on the Sunday. And I ended up with Sunday on number 1, and on the 50th day, there we go, and the 50th day was Sunday. And I thought, but I'm not sure. I want to be sure. So I counted it every day, and I tried it every day. But only one way came up with the first day of the week, Sabbath, the day after the Sabbath, for both of these feasts. So I had 1 witness, but I have actually 6 more. There's not enough time to go into all of them. Here's a brief answer. In Genesis 2:2, the first mention of Sabbath, which is the word they didn't really have to explain because they understood it, but you must go back to the very beginning of a word before you understand it. 2, definitions of Sabbath and convocation, they're different, but they're the same, which adds to the confusion. 7 Sabbaths means 7 complete weeks of 7 days, and the clue is complete. That's a very important word. Number 4, you must start and end on the day after the Sabbath. That's clear. Not much argument on that. Only the weekly Sabbath repeats 7 times, actually 52, and there's no other Sabbath that does this. Oh, great, thank you. This is a way of keeping track also. A very nice thing that the children can do. It's important that you make it exciting and interesting and understandable for your children. Very important. And number 6, on the morrow after the Sabbath, which is a unique phrase that talks about the beginning of only 2 feasts, first fruits and Omer. Nothing else in the Bible in the English translation. So here at Beit Tehila, we understand that the count must start and end on the day after the Sabbath, the weekly Sabbath, 7676 in the Hebrew of the Strong's Concordance. Just as verse 15 says, and it ends on the day after the weekly Sabbath, as verse 16 says. There's no other way to start and end on a Sabbath unless you start on the weekly Sabbath. To be sure, I went and I checked every feast and every holy day in the Bible. I found that they were the only ones, feast, first fruits and Omer, with this phrase. Plus, since counting 50 days ends on the first day of the week, Shavuot, then that is also on the day after the Sabbath. I want you to read this with me. Ready? And I shall count unto me from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that I brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall I number 50 days, and I shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord. I'll fix that error in there. Okay. Today is a double celebration. Today is the weekly Sabbath and the first day of unleavened bread. Passover technically is just a meal. This is the first day of unleavened bread. Tonight at sunset, you are going to have a triple celebration. Very important. You have the first fruits day, the Omer Day 1, and Resurrection Day. Important, and it's been forgotten for thousands of years. So we're not going to count today, but if you take pictures, you'll be able to quickly save these on your camera. Otherwise, you'll get them next week, okay? We'll just give it to them. Remember to start saying the blessing, saying the count, and if you don't know the blessing, just say, Lord, I forgot it. Today is day 1, and mark it. Remember it. Thank you very much.